Pete Wild Thing Souza joins the
so
show.
let's here's Cam. I totally stole your segment.
Okay.
Am I coming in hot? Sorry.
A little hot, yeah. On your show, on the Pete Souza show?
I just unboxed and put this on.
All right, so you're experienced.
You'd be pretty happy.
Am I? Is it good? Last time you came to me with a jersey, you got scammed.
I've gotten scammed a couple times. These are all stitched. Look.
Even if it is a knockoff, it's a pretty good one. So
yeah, it is. I mean, now the question is this like prejudice?
I think the question is, did they wear that style?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Oh yeah, in the movie for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a while. I'll trust you on that. I think you watched
every week. Let's talk baseball.
You're in the mood. I mean, you're wearing the. I think we can say it on this show. I'm going to go ahead and say it. The Indians jersey.
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure. We've not been brought down off YouTube yet. But I want to talk to you about this deal that I wanted to talk about on Friday. We both had things that kind of got in the way. MLB, ESPN, donezo. Just done. And now I don't think as a baseball fan, like gone are the days of kind of the glory days of Sunday Night Baseball and Baseball Tonight and everything. But that is a foolproof way to get some live sports content on your airwaves for months out of the year when the other leagues aren't playing with, Monday night and Wednesday night and, Sunday night, obviously, just having baseball games on there. And that is a big thing for ESPN to give up, or is it? Because they opt out of the deal that was $550 million per year over the last 3 years of the contract. And MLB's kind of like, okay, fine, do it. Initial reactions to that coming across our airwaves. Should we even be that stunned by a deal like this anymore?
I think it's eye-opening to where baseball is. And I'm not trying to be like the ESPN homer, but for many years we've seen this happen with shows, with talent specifically. Like they call it the Worldwide Network, or Dan Patrick calls it the mothership for a reason. Mm-hmm. A lot of times personalities will leave there and go somewhere else, really never to be heard from again outside of their niche audiences, right? And people will leave the network.
I would say that's one that's broken it, Dan Patrick.
Well, Dan Patrick has, for sure.
Yeah. It's few and far between.
Yeah.
Look at Jason Whitlock.
You look.
He's got a niche, man. He's got a niche. I'll give him that. Yeah.
He makes me want to take this jersey off because I think he might like it. I worry about baseball. I as a kid, baseball was my number one sport up until probably like 8th grade or something, 7th or 8th grade. It's all I cared about, and I feel like Major League Baseball not being on ESPN is way worse for Major League Baseball than it is for ESPN. And even if, most of the people, Cam, like you, I'll call a purist, right? Or like a lot of people want to be able to watch baseball tonight. They want that. They want that. And if you want to, put it on ESPN News. But put it on linear television and let Carl Ravitch and the boys, Carl Ravitch, by the way, one of the best studio hosts in the world, let them go through and do their traditional baseball thing, right? And then have the games live on the air. And if you are so lucky that it trickles down to First Take, right, or the other debate shows, like that's a bonus. And I think Major League Baseball was bummed about that, and I think they expressed that they weren't getting enough built-in topics on a show like First Take when they had this amazing, or should I say, this magnificent investment with ESPN. I think they felt like they were kind of getting the short end of the stick there a lot of the times.
And I will say, like that's part of like baseball fundamentally that's just not that's not going to work for what ESPN wants. What you're talking about there, the trickle down effect of giving us some big time topics every day. That's not going to change. Like football has become a year-round sport. The NBA has huge opportunities in free agency in July. That now becomes a circus. It's just not going to happen on the everyday thing. What I'm surprised at, which you mentioned in there, is MLB's response to this. I don't know if you saw the leaked email Evan Drellick, who works for The Athletic. He used to write for the Herald, and wrote the book on the Astros cheating scandal. He released this email that Rob Manfred sent out to the partners, saying, we basically, I'm paraphrasing here, we don't want to be on a shrinking platform, basically talking about cable and cord cutting rather than maybe just ESPN. But I found that very funny because it's like, you can't fire me. I quit.
Yeah,
okay?
totally. But
that's how it reads entirely, and that's so.
Where's baseball
can't
going to go
right now? That's the question. That's what we're talking. That's what we need to talk about here. What does MLB do? Because it's all well and good to say, oh, you know what? Screw you. You don't want me? Well, screw you. I don't want you. And then what do? They've tried the streaming thing. They've tried it. They did Facebook. They did Twitter. They've done Apple TV and Roku the last couple of years. No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Ask MLS. MLS put all their shit on Apple TV. It doesn't work. By the way, that Roku deal is, listen to this, Pete, $10 million a year for Roku. Think about that. That means each team is getting $300,000 for the year. That's half the rookie salary for one player. How does that work for anybody? This is what MLB does. They can't get out of their own way. They think there's still something better than they are. They need to be humbled right now. The ESPN is saying, no, you know what? We would much rather pay for a league in the WNBA that loses money every year. We would rather have that on our airwaves than you. And still MLB is like, we're fine. We're fine. Don't worry about them. Baseball. It's like the fucking end of Field of Dreams. People will come, Ray. Baseball is baseball. It's not the fucking 80s anymore. And I love baseball. That's why I'm fired up about this. That's the question, Pete. Where does MLB go from here?
Well, and remember now, there's still a bitter taste in fans' mouths and in ownership's mouth. And, some of the front offices around the league with these RSNs that fell apart. Huge. So the broadcast situation with the MLB is just not one that's of great value right now. And I don't know where they go, but if you end up on, Fox or and I don't even know, I'm like just shooting from the hip now, but if you end up on one of these major networks, you don't get the 24-hour play that you got with Baseball Tonight, right? Just kind of finding its way onto SportsCenter. I mean, all that stuff was a big deal, that's all out the window. And I don't care if you say, okay, well, how many people sit down and watch SportsCenter? Anytime you go into a bar, that's what's on, and so
dentist's office.
Yeah, you're
ESPN Central Texas.
Yeah, it's major visibility. Mm-hmm. So where do you go? Do you go on Apple? Do you go on? I mean, even if you end up on if a lot of your games and you find a way to, and they were doing this, streaming them on Plus, some of them. That's still a great way. I mean, if you're a fan of a baseball team, you're going to do that. It's really easy. A lot of stuff is on Plus now.
That is an interesting point, because let's compare it to the NHL, which is a league that's obviously having a good moment right now, but has really struggled the last couple of years to get that kind of exposure. They get this ESPN deal. It's supposed to be great. Honestly, I hate the way ESPN covers it. They don't put any effort into it. I don't like their studio talkers. They go to the Stanley Cup Finals and they have a fold-up table that Bills fans are licking their chops to see, and that's their desk. Okay, but they put every out-of-market game on ESPN Plus. So the loser that I am, I sit here and just watch hockey all night because it's just there on ESPN Plus. Every out-of-market game, I can go from 6 p.m. Central Time to 1 a.m. and just watch hockey on ESPN Plus for something I already pay for every month. And that I don't know the business in that, but that has to draw more attention to it. And yet baseball still can't figure that out. And they still have the worst blackout rules. And I mean, all the leagues have those problems, but the RSNs dying have not done a ton to NBA and NHL fan bases, but it's killing MLB. Here's a theory that I have, and we've seen it with some teams, that they're like Major League Baseball is probably working towards producing and outsourcing these games themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Now, where you put it is the big question, right? But like a lot of the production, like if you look at for instance,
I think the Texas Rangers, right here at home, the RSN, the relationship with like Diamond Sports, or whoever the hell it was, Bally's is disintegrated in whatever fashion it went away. And so now the Rangers are doing their own games, right? So the Rangers are now producing all the games. Like that's the Rangers that are doing it now. So they have their own. I mean, I'm not quite sure like where this goes with baseball and where people find them though. That's the big thing.
And
right?
the other thing, and I've seen a couple of teams do this. This is just me from a fan perspective. Obviously, no insider knowledge or insight on this really in this industry, but like I just don't see how that works long term, because the whole point is like the thing that's really frustrating sports fans is how many platforms we have to pay for to watch all these games. And the Red Sox have done this with NESN. And I thankfully for now out of market, so I can go get the MLB extra innings package. I can get NHL on ESPN Plus. It's fine. But NESN now wants you to pay $30 a month just for them. And if you're trying to grow the sport, that's not how you do it. Because think of all the fringe baseball fans that are like, no, I don't want to.
Here's the
how many games am I going to watch if I'm a fringe baseball fan?
Here's the pushback. Okay.
It's a quarter of the schedule.
Yeah, but NESN knows what they're doing. We're talking about Red Sox fans. And
I know. Red Sox is a tough one to compare.
But here's where Major League Baseball, and I don't know how they're going to figure this out, but if you talk about it, it's more regional than national. Like, and when I say regional, I even mean smaller than that. It's more like your market or your city. Like people watch those games, like the local team, like the people watch the Phillies every night, right? Where I'm from.
Correct. Yes.
And they're less apt to watch a game of the week where it's the Dodgers and the Yankees even, right? Right,
but I'm feeling like but they go through that without feeling like there's a price on it. Like you pay for cable and everyone knows that nothing in life is free. But now you say, oh, well, you want to cut the cord to save money? Here's $30 a month to watch the Phillies games. And a lot of people in Philly are still going to do that. But I'm thinking about like Denver, and the Nuggets just made a run to the finals. And the Rockies are actually kind of good for the first time in a decade. But am I going to spend $30 a month to watch them, or the Pirates or whomever the small market, Kansas City, good enough baseball town. It's fine. Right. But then it's like, oh, but I got to pay this much. I'd rather just go to the bar and spend, $20 or
Where would you, as a baseball fan, want to see these games end up? Like what national platform would you like to see pick up this deal where ESPN has dropped it?
Oh. Like I don't think there's many options for them. I guess Fox. I don't know how much Fox goes in on, because they obviously have some MLB. I don't know how much they go in on it, but at least that way you get something that's on good, regular cable TV, right? You've got a network, you've got Fox Sports 1, which has its own programming. And so you get something in there in addition to having a decent app, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like Amazon probably reaches even just as much, maybe even more at that point, but then you're not seeing it on TV. I think that is still a big thing to have it on TV to some extent.
Explain to me the WNBA thing, because I'm a little behind.
What's that?
Explain to me the WNBA thing. So the WNBA is now going to pick up a lot of those spots, right?
Probably, because they're playing during the late summer. I don't know.
Yeah, spring, summer,
Yeah. So ESPN has been a WNBA carrier for years, and so now, I think that's. And look, women's basketball is doing well, or better, but they lose money on that league every year. The league loses money, and a bunch of that comes from TV revenue. And so now you get thrown a bone here a little bit because I don't know. I mean, what else are you going to show in the summer? Bowling?
No, I don't know. I think ESPN survives just fine.
But this is MLB more for sure.
For sure. But I think it is, and I don't know where these games go, but maybe this is an acknowledgement of Major League Baseball saying, okay, we know we're a regional sport. Those games really don't rate at all anyways. We pump a lot of money into this deal. we don't get out of it. We have no idea, but that's also a possibility.
Let me ask you this to kind of round this out. It's been years that we've heard this. Baseball is dying, and some people will say baseball is going to become, boxing and horse racing. It's dead. And still, I think, the NBA is definitely ahead of it. The NHL is probably still behind it, but and they have not made moves over the last, 5 or 10 years to really close that gap. But now they are. Now they are getting some popularity after this Four Nations tournament, certainly the international tournaments that come up in the next few years, and having ESPN and TNT. Notice we didn't mention TBS in there, who covers a lot of playoff games, but Turner's moving away from live sports entirely. Are we in a spot where baseball, as it's dying at the grassroots level in this country, is the MLB going to go the way of horse racing and boxing over the next 10, 15 years, the next generation?
I don't think so. No, I think that there's too much. Again, it goes back to the regional interest. It is still the backdrop and the soundtrack to many a summer, right? All over America. And I don't agree with that at all. It's just not, I think it stays where it is. I don't think it will ever assume the position at the top like it once was, being America's pastime. But I don't think it goes away. I mean, those sports you're talking about are, especially in society today, they're sort of archaic, like horse racing and you guys just beating the shit out of each other. Like, it doesn't.
We've also got a very negative stigma around them, even though sports betting has become very commonplace. That's what the degenerates do. They do
exactly.
in horse racing and they fix it. Yeah.
But no, I think baseball will be just fine. But I think that this, long term really hurts its popularity from a national perspective. I mean, Shohei Ohtani hits like 5 home runs or whatever. Like, that's going to be the lead on First Take tomorrow, regardless, right? If that were to happen today. So I don't even know that Major League Baseball, like, they weren't getting what they wanted out of that deal. They're really never going to be that popular where people hang out.
Yeah, they're never going to be ultra relevant again.
About baseball, I wanted to get to it on my show, but I didn't, was Hal Steinbrenner holding a 20-minute press conference talking about the facial hair thing. I mean, that's like hilarious.
Is that not a microcosm, though, of what we're like, all right, guys, we're going to do it. It's 2025. I think it's about time we let these guys grow a beard.
But he goes, he gives like the thought process behind it. It's like, go play around a golf or something, dude. Like, what are you doing?
Like, this is so dumb. Yeah, it's just, and it sucks. That baseball is my first love. Love the sport to death, but I think if it's not already, it's going to be carried by its major markets. Like, I don't know how popular MLB will be in the future, but certainly the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Cubs will be big deals still, of course. Anyway, Pete Souza show, 10 a.m. Central Time every day, which leads us right into the Cam show at high noon Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Central Time every weekday as well.
We are Rogue Media Sports.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. And if you like this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter here for some more outrageous Boston sports takes coming to you every weekday at noon Eastern Time. And then after that, wherever you get your podcasts.
We are Rogue Media Sports.